Hello everyone and welcome to Quick Collections Garage. In today's video, we're going to cover the basics of how to do an oil change. The car we're using today is a 2005 Nissan Sentra with a 1.8 liter 4-cylinder engine. That doesn't mean that this process is specific towards that car, and in fact, everything you are seeing here today works for almost all cars. So first, we're going to cover the tools you're going to need for the job. Second, we're going to cover how to actually do the oil change. And third, I'm going to cover with you guys some pro tips that I've learned throughout the years of doing my own maintenance. Now keep in mind, all the tools we show you guys here today, I'm going to have linked down in the description below just for easy access. Feel free to use those links to give you a guide of what to purchase and what maybe not to purchase. And my goal out of this video is to help show everyone how easy it is to save some money and do your own maintenance on your cars. Now without further ado, let's cover the tools that are needed for the job. The first thing you're going to need is a ramp and some chock. Now you could use a jack with jack stands, but for beginners I would recommend you use a ramp. The second thing you'll need is a ratcheting tool set. The third thing you'll need is an oil filter wrench. The fourth thing you'll need is an oil drain pan. The fifth thing is a funnel. Now 6, you'll need oil, obviously. 7, you'll need an oil filter. And 8, you'll need an oil pan crush washer. Now the oil pan crush washer is something I would highly recommend. While you don't have to do it, most fast lube or lube express places won't actually replace your crush washer, but I would highly recommend it, and I'll give you reasons why as we go through the video. Now that you've got the appropriate tools, what we need to do is get the car in the appropriate position to start doing the oil change. So step 2, let's set your car up for the oil change. Set the car ramps straight in front of the tires and slowly proceed up the ramp till you get to the top. Now that you've made it to the top of the ramp, put the car in park, pull your e-brake up, and turn off the car. It's extremely important that you make sure the car is either in gear, if you have a manual transmission, or in park, if you have an automatic transmission. And extremely important to make sure you pull the e-brake up at this point. This is going to help make sure the car doesn't move back, either when you get out of the car, or while you're working on the project. Now that you've got the car in the ramps, with the car turned off, exit the car, and put the chock behind the back 2 tires. This is going to again add extra safety to make sure the car doesn't roll back on you while you're working on the job. Now that the front of the car is off the ground, you'll need to access the engine compartment. To do so, open the driver's side door and access the release lever at the bottom of the kick panel. What you will do is you will pull that towards you. Now that the hood is popped open, look for the hood release latch. You'll pull that lever to your left and pull the hood up at the same time to give you access to the engine compartment. You'll notice a stand for your hood. Prop that up to hold the hood up while you're working. Now that you've got the car ready for the oil change, what you'll need to first do is access the oil filler cap. Once you find it, rotate it counterclockwise or to your left to open it up. Now that you've done so, what you'll need to do is find the appropriate size socket for it. In this car, it's a 14mm socket. Now, get your 3/8 ratchet together, connect the socket, and begin to loosen it counterclockwise. What you'll want to do is make sure you have the oil pan at the bottom to catch the oil as it comes out. It's very important because you're gonna make a mess if you don't. Let the oil come out for 15 to 30 minutes. Now that all the oil has also come out, all you'll need to do is just go with the steps, but in reverse order. So put the oil drain plug back into the oil pan and tighten it up. Now that you've tightened it up, you'll need to locate your oil filter. In this application, the oil filter is towards the back of the motor, kind of in the middle of the compartment. As you're accessing this, you may notice that it may be difficult to take off by hand. And that's exactly why we got the oil filter wrench. Now with the oil filter wrench, what you'll need to do is loosen it up going counterclockwise. So as you're loosening it up, make sure you've got the oil drain pan below to catch the oil as it comes out of the oil filter and the oil filter housing. Now just locate your new oil filter and lube up the top of the oil filter to make it easier to access and screw on to the oil filter housing. You're almost done. Now all you need to do is add oil to the top. So go to the top of the motor, find your filler neck, grab your funnel, and begin pouring oil into the motor. Now what you'll notice is every car takes a different amount of oil, a different oil filter, and a different oil weight. This car takes 5W30 oil, and we decided to go with Mobile 1, and it's got a specific oil filter that matches back to the motor and the oil filter housing. This car only needs 3 quarts of oil. Your car may need 5, may need 7, may need less or more. Just make sure you do your research to understand how much oil it needs. What I like to do is call AutoZone or look up on their website for what filters, oil weight, and oil capacity is for the car that I'm working on that day. Now that we've covered the tools you need and how to do the oil change, what I want to cover with you guys last is some pro tips that I've learned along the way. Pro tip number one is very simple. While you're at the bottom of the motor, tightening back up the oil filter that you've just installed and you've tightened up the oil drain plug, check for any leaks. And not just leaks on where you were working on, but check leaks around the motor, around the steering column, and wipe them down. Now what that will help you understand is if the oil leak is there after you do the oil change and you're on your next rotation of oil changes, then you will quickly understand that there's a leak in the system somewhere and you need to address it. Don't let your car leak fluid unnecessarily. Running low on oil is extremely bad for the motor. Running low on power steering fluid is really bad on the power steering system. And running low on transmission fluid is really bad on the transmission. Pro tip number two is inspect your air filter. Air filter life really depends on the conditions on the roads you drive in. Check your air filter, make sure it doesn't have any tears in it, make sure it looks clean, and make sure it's in good condition. If it looks like it's not in good condition, I actually have a link below that will help you understand how to change an air filter. It's honestly one of the easiest things I think I've ever done on a car. Pro tip number three, if you were just driving your car, let it cool down for 30 minutes before starting the oil change. Pro tip number four, after you've done your oil change, check your dipstick. And what that means is there's a dipstick in the motor. You've got to pull that out to check the level. There's always a min and a max line. On that line, you want to make sure you're somewhere in the middle. If you're running closer to the min, you need to add a little bit of oil and check it again. Don't add too much, as too much oil is actually bad for the motor as well. After an oil change, I will also check it after every 1 to 2 times after filling up the gas tank to make sure that I know if my car is or isn't burning oil. You may potentially run into a time where you burn too much oil and now you don't have enough oil to lube up the motor, which is also very dangerous. And the last pro tip that I have that is a must is you have to dispose of your oil the correct way. Don't pour it down the drain, don't pour it down the street. Guys, dispose of it the correct way. Call your local lube shop, call AutoZone, call O'Reilly's, whoever you have, they will dispose of it for free. All you have to do is just put it in the container and take it to them. Now, if you'd like to know how to change an air filter on your 2005 Sentra or any car itself, and most cars themselves, I'll have a link below. And if you'd like to know how to do a spark plug change on your 2005 Nissan Sentra, I'll also put a link below on how to do so. Thank you all so much for tuning in today's video. I hope this was helpful and I really hope you guys got something out of it. If you did, give me a like. If you want to see more content around do-it-yourself projects, comment below what you'd like to see. Chances are I probably have access to that vehicle and I can do that for you. Or if you have questions about your application that may be specific, comment below, let me know. Subscribe for more videos like this, subscribe for more all things automotives. I really hope I can help you guys throughout your build. Now guys, follow me on TikTok or Instagram if you'd like. I'll post all additional behind the scenes content and really just content about what I love doing, and that's being around cars. So you'll see our builds, you'll see some of the projects we're working on, and hopefully that'll be helpful for you as well. So thank you again for joining our episode today, and we'll see you next time.